Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation.
That's what they've been saying, you
Wait
see.
till the next generation.
There you'll find your identity.
Wait till the next generation.
We're gonna be ready to take a
Wait till
stand
the next generation.
and take control of the life that's in your hands. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land.
Wait till the next generation.
Apathy's gonna be hard to
Wait till the
find.
next generation.
We're gonna select the things that go into our
Wait
mind.
till the next generation.
We're gonna shape our own
Wait
destiny
till the next generation.
and alter the face of history. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the
Wait
land.
till the next generation.
This I want you to
Wait till the
understand.
next generation.
I ain't gonna,
Wait till the next generation.
cause
This is the next generation, man.
see Kendrick that day?
No. I did not.
Seeing the alleged killer of KJ standing next to him in the hallway the day he died in school has sent chills down our spines. How did no one see this frame? How did the FBI let this go? Why did it take 6 years and an independent filmmaker to find this? These are all questions that may never go answered. But what we do know for sure is that we have more facts now than we ever had. And this case needs to be reopened and re-examined with a fine-tooth comb.
What made me think that everything was a cover-up was, for me, as an experienced homicide detective, was just that first meeting with...
An 18 study shows that U.S. hate groups have reached an all-time high. So who is the FBI against, and who are they for?
For us to not make an arrest, for me to find out later the case was dismissed, just my personal feeling, I felt as though something had to have occurred. And I really thought that they must have struck a deal with Rick Bell.
He lost his job because the DOJ had evidence of corruption. I say they actually told me that. On the phone, we was on a phone conference. They said, Mr. Johnson, we're gonna tell you, they are not gonna lock him up and they're not gonna fire him, but they're gonna make him resign. They said, we got evidence of corruption of Rick Bell. And what we gonna do, we gonna turn it over to the FBI. And shortly after that, he resigned.
I felt as though we would have continued our investigation. Not only would we have made an arrest with Bell for obstruction, I really believe we would have got to the bottom of what happened to Kendrick if Bell would have been charged with obstruction of justice. I'm looking at Kendrick's father. I'm looking at myself. And I'm saying to myself, as I look at Kendrick's father, is that I probably would be in jail for murder.
Well, the sounds of those screeching chains echoed through the Sunset Cemetery in Valdosta today as Kendrick Johnson's grave was exhumed for the second time. The Johnson family is hoping a third autopsy will help them figure out what happened to their son.
Re-looking at the pictures, there was an area on the right side of the chest that looked like hemorrhage. So we did a third autopsy. It turns out we used the same techniques we did before. We did show that there had been blunt force trauma to the right side of the chest. So we had 2 areas of trauma for sure. So I'm fairly confident that we pretty much have the mechanism of how this kid died.
So, when you went and you presented your evidence, what happened?
We contacted the medical examiner in Georgia and the state attorney, and I told them that we had the photos, we had the microscopic slides and so forth, and the response we got was, we're not interested in looking at them. Nobody has basically requested to look at the slides except the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Clearly, there's something on these slides that Dr. Anderson made the state of Georgia doesn't want you to see. So for the first time ever, here they are.
You can see here, this is all dried out, embalmed tissue. And when we open this area, we see this distinct area, which I'm using the cursor to show, of hemorrhage. That red coloration, distinctly different than the other area. Now this is the area under the microscope, and we can see all these red areas here. Now the question then becomes, well, are these really red blood cells? So that's when we do the immunohistochemistry, and that's a picture of the immunostaining, we call it. And the areas that are brown, that's the antibody picking up the antigen, which is the hemoglobin. So that's basically how we prove that this is actually hemorrhage, not artifact. And that made our diagnosis pretty firm that this was the area of blunt force trauma to the neck. I sent it to 2 other pathologists to look at myself before we came up with our decision.
And everyone agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't make a murder an accident when it's a murder. How can you?
Whatever's left over is telling the story.
that they're still trying to cover. Kendrick is still speaking from the grave. So let me get this straight. A 5'10" kid decided to go head first into a 6-foot mat, then realized after he was stuck that he was gonna die down there. And then he died down there, stuck. Somehow silently, with a gym full of kids playing basketball and changing classes around him. Then his shoes magically appeared on the top of his body, inside the mat, shoved into the hole. His legs became twisted in the mat. And all of this happened in the middle of the school day in a gym full of kids. Then somehow the videotape from only those moments is missing. Then Kendrick's organs go missing. 7 judges recuse themselves. The U.S. attorney working on the case resigns. And then your case moves to Ohio. Then it's officially closed by the Justice Department, who tells you in a meeting the crime scene has planted objects. Your autopsy report is correct. Your child was murdered, and there's nothing else we can do about it. One thing we kept hearing over and over again was about this missing FBI report regarding the security tape hard drive and the blacked out footage. So we looked into finding that report to see if we could locate it, and we did. However, the report was heavily redacted. But then we were able to find the unredacted FBI report, and what we discovered blew us away. You see, in the redacted report, you can barely see any of the video frames. Most of the frames are blacked out, and the ones with KJ are barely recognizable. In the unredacted report, we were able to see all the video frames in full color. The report follows KJ, Brian, and Brandon's movement throughout the school for the entire day and records where they were. Not only is this further video evidence that the Bell Boys were on campus when KJ went missing, we found something that the FBI clearly didn't want us to see. Let us put them side by side so you can see what we found. Here they are. Can you see something a little odd? Look closely. There appears to be a frame on both pages that matches. How could this be? What tipped us off is KJ's yellow folder. We were going through Brian's movements, and all of a sudden, KJ's folder appeared on screen. That's right. There's a frame on KJ's side and Brian's side that is identical. The boys are standing seemingly right next to each other in the hallway.
Did you see Kendrick that day?
No. I did not.
Seeing the alleged killer of KJ standing next to him in the hallway the day he died in school has sent chills down our spines. How did no one see this frame? How did the FBI let this go? Why did it take 6 years and an independent filmmaker to find this? These are all questions that may never go answered. But what we do know for sure is that we have more facts now than we ever had. And this case needs to be reopened and re-examined with a fine-tooth comb. After finding this game-changing evidence, our crew flew to Georgia to show Kendrick's parents as soon as possible.
Had you seen that frame?
Mm-mm.
Can you believe that?
Mm.
They are next to each other. That's the morning of. And that's in their own report. And we have their paperwork. And they saw that.
All the adults, authorities, and school personnel show you to the extent that how much they covered up.
How are you feeling right now?
It's just crazy. Just to let you know we were right in there all along.
What do you think is going to happen when we release this photograph?
They're gonna try to come out with some more lies.
What do you think they're going to say about it?
Somebody photo cropped it
In their own report.
in their own report.
All along, we know it was bullshit. We know it was bullshit. They pushed a real large social media campaign against us about Kendrick and Brian to never see each other, none that day. And go and show you. We was right, they was lying the whole day. Yeah. That's what they done.
After KJ's mom told our crew she thought they were gonna say that we faked this photo, we decided to go back into the FBI's report to see if there was anything else we can show to prove it. Lo and behold, the page after the photo was a grid that the FBI wrote describing each picture. In their own words, they wrote, quote, KJ observed in covered walkway moving towards camera. Bell observed in same location at this time. So there you have it. The FBI not only included the photo of Brian and Kendrick in their report, they included a spreadsheet explaining the photos that back up exactly what we are seeing. KJ and Brian standing next to each other the morning this all happened. After showing our new evidence to the Johnson family, we flew to D.C. to get a third-party perspective on this FBI report from Mitch. KJ and Brian standing next to each other the morning this all happened.
Hold up. I'm stuck. I'm stuck because if the footage was there, and if the footage was there, I don't recall seeing this footage. And I clearly remember going to the FBI office in Atlanta when I first got involved in the case. I've never seen this. Wait. I don't ever recall seeing KJ standing near Brian Bell with a yellow folder in his hand, and just based on the footage, obviously that's here, they're near each other. It may be 10 feet or closer. I can see the public not seeing certain things. I can see the family not seeing certain things. But as an investigator, it bothers me because it's something that I should have seen. And why wasn't I given the opportunity to see this? I recall being told that Brian Bell didn't see KJ that day. And it's obvious just by looking at this footage that came from wherever it came from that they had to have seen each other that day. And oh wow, oh man, I mean, y'all gotta excuse me, I'm a little messed up right now. To know that I'm seeing something now that I could not have seen back in 2015 when I was involved in the investigation, sort of kind of make me think that I wonder about some other things I did not see, or some other things that maybe I wasn't supposed to see. And when you're following the evidence and you're steered off in another direction and you miss evidence, then that most definitely is going to interfere with investigations. If I'm one of the investigators on the case, I should have seen this particular clip, and it shouldn't be because what a filmmaker found that I saw this. How was this filmmaker able to see this particular evidence And I'm part of the investigation I never saw before. And I think that's what's troublesome to me, to see something new. I'm investigating the case, but I don't see it. But someone, a filmmaker, I mean, no disrespect, but the filmmaker, he finds a piece of evidence that I couldn't find. It's troublesome to me, and that's real. Yeah, that's it. Ain't nothing else I can say about that.
What do you think really happened?
I think, honestly, I think it was a fight in the gym. I wouldn't say Brian by himself. I don't think he can beat him one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he went right in the mat. I think the mat was some shit that was done at the school hours, honestly. I think they jumped him. They jumped him, and they took it too far.
When you look at the investigation, you flip the script, you ask yourself if one of the bellboys had died and Kendrick was a suspect, would the body parts be missing? Would the case have been ruled an accident? Would evidence have been missing? Would the timeline on the video take minutes or whatever, would that have been missing? Would an arrest not have been made?
They'd have found them that night if he'd have been a white boy missing. And then they would have done something about it.
Everybody in the United States should have the protection of their rights under the law, and this includes police officers. There are situations where, because of certain circumstances, police officers who are doing their duty become the victims of wrongful lawsuits or wrongful prosecutions.
Ed Meese, the U.S. Attorney General during Reagan's presidency, is one of the leaders of a group who works behind the scenes, paying legal costs and providing other forms of assistance to law enforcement officials accused of heinous crimes. Even after Rick Bell lost his job, they were helping him and his family in their legal battles concerning KJ. What this means is that while KJ's body is busy being exhumed again, Brian Bell is able to play Division I football. But this inequality suffered by KJ and his family is nothing new to Black Americans. It's only now, with cell phone cameras and police body cams, that we are actually able to see how this inequity plays out.
Jay's on the call, I'm gonna shoot you in your head, you understand me? Don't you move, I'm gonna shoot you in your head, you hear me? Don't you move!
When Black men are choked for selling cigarettes or walking in the street, white mass murderers are gingerly arrested and fed hamburgers by the police. If KJ had been white, we wouldn't have had to make this film. Imagine it had been Brian Bell wrapped up in a gym mat. Would his organs have been replaced by newspaper in his body? Would security footage have gone missing? Everyone in